Okay, we are going to use multiplication and division to solve inequalities. It's really similar to solving equations. It's almost exact. There's one major difference that we talked about on snow day yesterday. Tuesday? Monday. Okay. All right, so what you need to do is when you've got your equation, this says negative 2x is greater than 4. Okay, the big difference, what was the big difference that we talked about on Monday?
If you multiply or divide a negative number, you flip the inequality.
Okay, when you're solving, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality, and we did that project on Monday to figure out why. So here, this is negative 2 times x. I have to divide by negative 2 on both sides. Okay, because I divided on by negative 2, what happens to my sign?
Switches.
It flips, right? So here we have x, and here we have negative 2. And then you graph it. All right, we're at negative 2. Open circle or closed circle?
Open.
Okay, is my variable larger or smaller? Smaller, so that is how I graph it. Okay?
Check it.
Did we do this on Monday?
No, we did it last week.
I don't.
We did the graphing last week.
I remember this.
Remember the graphing? Open circle or closed circle, in which direction?
Why is x less than negative 2?
Okay, here's why. Because I can pick. These are all, you guys agree that these are all the numbers that are part of my solution set?
Yes.
Like we talked about last
I
week.
remember this.
What we graph is part of the solution set. So I can pick any number down here. Even if it says or equal to, don't pick the number that you start on. Because if it's or equal to, it's going to be true either direction, right? Pick a different number. So I'm going to pick 0. All right? Is 0 over there?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
No, it's not.
No. What should I pick? 0's over here.
Negative.
Negative 3?
4.
Okay. So I can substitute, this is my check. I can substitute negative 3 in for my x. Write my original inequality. And if this is true, I did it correctly, right? So negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Is positive 6 greater than 4?
Yes.
Yes, that is true.
That is.
So I graphed it correctly. I did the problem correctly.
Like it seems trippy, but it's not.
You okay?
Oh,
Good?
yeah.
Okay, let's try this one right here. This one says x divided by negative 3 is less than 21. What do I do?
You divide by negative 2. No. Wait.
X divided by negative 3. How do I undo divide by negative 3? Times by negative 3. So we're going to multiply both sides by negative 3. So here I have x. What's 21 times negative 3?
63. Negative 63.
Negative 63. What happens to my sign?
It flips.
Why does it flip?
Because you're dividing by a negative.
Okay, I multiplied by a negative right here. Okay, so I have to flip my sign. And then you guys graph it. You're at negative 63. Open circle or closed circle?
Open.
Why?
Because it's not equal to.
Okay, and is my variable larger or smaller than negative 63?
Larger.
Larger. And then you would check. Pick a number up here.
64.
6. Okay, 6 divided by negative 3. It will be easiest to pick a number here
-2.
that is divisible by 3, because then you're not going to be dealing with fractions, right? Is less than 21. You write your original one, not from the flipped sign. Okay? 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. Is that less than 21?
Yes.
Yes, that's true. You did it correctly. Here's your answer.
Can you keep
Okay.
that up on the board?
All right, we okay so far?
Yeah.
All right.
It's easy.
Other than that, all of them are, you're solving exactly like you do equations. Okay, so this one here, we have got x divided by 5 is less than or equal to negative 3. Do I need to write that larger?
No. Wouldn't it be?
Okay, so I multiply by 5 on both sides. Okay, over here we have x. Over here we have,
Negative.
do I flip the sign?
No.
Yeah. Okay, look at this. I started with a negative 3. Okay? You have to flip the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative number. Did I multiply or divide by a negative number? No, I multiplied by a positive number. I don't care if I start with a negative. I care if I multiply or divide by a negative. So you leave the sign the same. And then you graph it.
It would be.
We're at negative 15. Open circle or close circle?
Close.
Why?
Because it's equal to.
Okay. And is my variable smaller or larger?
Smaller.
Smaller. And then you check.
Negative 16.
Negative. Well, let's pick a number that's divisible by 5.
Negative 20.
Negative 20.
That will make it easier so you're not dealing with fractions, right? So you go back to your original problem and substitute in the number you chose for your variable. Negative 20 divided by 5 is less than or equal to negative 3. What's negative 20 divided by 5?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 is less than or equal to negative 3. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes, so we did it correctly. Okay. You only have to flip it if you multiply or divide by a negative number. If you're multiplying or dividing by a positive number, you don't have to flip your inequality sign. Remember when we did that number line march on Monday, and when we multiplied, I had 2 students up here, and when we added and subtracted, they moved the same, right? They didn't switch places. And when we multiplied, they stayed the same, right?
Yes.
But when we multiplied or divided by a negative, they swapped places. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so that is why you've got to flip them. So we found out those numbers on the number line switch places. Okay, do we need to do more of these?
No.
No, you good? What do we need to do a positive one?
Number 1 is
Number 1 says n divided by 3 is less than 1. That says divide. That says divide. Okay, that's that. I know it's kind of little, but that says divide. Okay, so what are we going to do?
Multiply by 3.
Multiply by 3, both sides.
Which is 3.
And is less than.
Do I switch the sign?
No, you don't.
No, and then you graph and you check every single time, okay?
Okay.
All right. What about this one over here that's a fraction? Do we need to do that one?
Yes.
Okay, that says negative 3 is greater than 2/3 p. This is 2/3 times p. You've got a couple options. You can multiply everything by 3 to get rid of the denominator, and then you would have 2p over here, and negative 9 over here.
Yeah.
And then you can divide by 2. Or you could just divide by 2/3. I don't care which one you do. It's totally up to you. So here you have p. Am I going to flip my sign?
No.
No. And then we have negative 3 divided by 2/3 is multiplying by 3/2, right?
Yeah.
So negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. 2 times 1 is 2. So it's negative 9 over 2, which is negative 4.5. You can write it either way. Then graph it and check it. Okay? Good? When you are checking this, you probably want to pick a number that's divisible by 3 and 2, because it's going to be easier when you multiply this fraction. Yeah, 6 or 18 or 12, okay? All right. Guys good with this?
Yeah, I'm functional.
Okay, remember if you start with a negative and multiply or divide by a positive, you do not need to flip. It's only if you multiply or divide by the negative. All right. Okay, we're good. We're done. Thank you. You can stop.